Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I have another breakup story to share. And if you have a breakup story you want to share, visit writemac.com. The link's down below. Send your story, and I could give you my take just like this. If you'd like to do a coaching session, talk to me live in a FaceTime, that's also available. You can book one of those today. If not, that's fine. If you like the video, like it. If you have a comment to help this individual out, put it down below. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. Otherwise, let's get into it. This is a long story. Didn't know how to get to the point without explaining well. Well, no problem. I started a relationship with a guy. When we met, I told him everything that I wanted and expected of the relationship if we ever ended up together. So this happens a lot. And she says, I am 31 with 2 kids and divorced. So the reason I'm saying 31 with 2 kids and divorced is some individuals that have been in relationships before that didn't end well, or they're in their 30s and they've been around a few rodeos, if you will, or a few relationships, they tend to put up some high standards right from the get-go. And I'm not saying this was wrong or right, because you look at it like, hey, I want to be upfront about things, but you're creating these expectations in a relationship, and sometimes it can scare people away, because the way a relationship organically grows is not with, hey, this is how it is, this is how it's going to be. From the get-go, you're coming off a little bit bossy in my book. And that's you believing the fact that, I just want to make sure with certainty that this person knows what I want. That being said, I don't have a big problem with that, but that doesn't create absolute certainty that the relationship's going to go that way, even if the person says they're on deck for that. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people, well, I told them this, and this in the beginning. Yeah, that's okay, but the relationship still needs to go through its twists and turns, okay? I want something serious and stable, not only for my kids, but for myself. Again, good thing to put out there up front. The fact that you did that could erase some waste of time with people, but it doesn't guarantee that the person that says, oh yeah, I'm up for that, it still has a chance of not working out. Do you understand what I mean? And this isn't directed at you, the person that wrote this. This is more directed towards a lot of individuals that say this out of a breakup. I had a timeline that I wanted to achieve this thing since I am ready for this stage of my life and don't want to waste time with people that don't want the same. Again, like I said, you have very high expectations of what you want and in a long-term relationship. Just because you state that up front doesn't mean it's going to work out or that person's going to be accountable later on, because there is something that could come up that they're not on board for, and people do change, circumstances do change. And so setting that from the get-go is a good starting point, but again, it doesn't guarantee anything. He agreed to giving this a go. Now, 10 months later, dating, I found out I am pregnant 4 weeks ago, and he didn't believe me at first. When the labs came back confirming it, he asked, what is the next step? Since I was thinking of not keeping it because I am a high risk, I told him I wanted to talk to different doctors to get an opinion to whether I should keep it or not. I didn't want to risk my life, and I also didn't want to harm the baby if I have to have him safely. Well, that's a responsible thing on your end. And you're doing the right thing. You're going to some professional doctors. You're asking the right questions. You're taking this seriously. When I later had an idea of keeping the baby, we had an argument when I asked him, what are we going to do? Are you moving in? Are we getting engaged? Are we getting married? So let's just keep in mind, let's just rewind here. You're 10 months into a relationship. Neither of you planned on you getting pregnant. That doesn't mean you both aren't responsible for it, okay? But that also doesn't mean that he immediately has to marry you, okay? And in my book, does he need to step up and be responsible for his child? Absolutely, absolutely. These are things that he has been talking to me for months that he wanted to do. Now that I heard many doctors say it's manageable, I decided to keep him. So I asked him, how are we going to deal with this? I was expecting a plan like, let me move in, I can help around the house and with the kids. Okay, I think that's a great expectation, but that's not something 10 months into a relationship with a surprise pregnancy that he has to do. Okay? 10 months isn't a long time to establish a serious relationship. Even if he was on board for a serious relationship, the pregnancy changes things. He is allowed to question things at this point. Okay? I don't know the rest of the story. I haven't read this story all the way through yet. Expecting a plan like let me move in, I can help around the house with the kids. I know you will have to be in bed most of the time or something like that, but he didn't give me an answer, so I panicked. Okay, this is worst case scenario because like I said, I'm not saying that your expectation or what you're asking of isn't a good thing. It's a great thing. It's an honorable thing. It's an admirable thing. Him taking a step back and questioning the idea if he wants to move in with you, isn't all that bad either. He's not going to just jump in. If you haven't even lived together yet, he's got to take some moments to take a deep breath and check out what he wants to do and how big a commitment he wants to make. Do I believe it would be ideal that he moves in? Absolutely. He still needs to make that decision on his own without being pressured. Human beings, you said you're 31, I'm not sure of his age, I'm sure he's in his late 20s, early 30s, don't like to be pressured or pushed into things. And so he needs to make that decision on his own with his own responsible mind. I argued with him that night and broke up with him after 4 days of him not contacting him. I was still keeping him updated with any health problems. I got angry and blocked him. So this is obviously not going to help you, your pregnancy, or your stress levels. You need to take a step back and have an adult conversation about this. You might even need to take 1 or 2 days or 3 days to not talk. Okay? But the idea that he wasn't willing to immediately move in with you and help out, like I said, that's an admirable request. I don't believe that it warrants you panicking into a state and immediately breaking up with him. I'm not sure he was going there with it. I think he needed more time to make that decision and ease into it. 3 days later from that, he came to my house to talk. He had tried to reach me and couldn't find me. At that point, we had been a week without contact. When we spoke, he was just saying he needed time to think and gather his thoughts before coming here to talk. I think that's a good thing. Here's the thing. You don't want to have serious conversations about business, about life, about pregnancies when your emotions are high. Because you're going to say things you don't mean. You're going to say things that are hurtful. You're going to say things that are irrational. And so for him to say that he needs to think things over, I think that's a good thing. He's not running away from this. He's going, wait, I'm surprised by this too. Okay? And you've been pregnant a couple times now, and you know what it is and what it's like. And I understand. You want a commitment. You want him all in. And he hasn't said he's not all in. He just needs a little bit of space and time to make the decision on his own and how he's going to go about it as a man. Now he says he thinks we are not there yet. Again, you've only been together 10 months. So this isn't a completely unfair thing to judge. And I don't know what those 10 months entailed at getting married stage. And I'm with him. If he's not ready to get married, there's no reason to get married because you're having a kid only. That wouldn't be fair and would put a lot of pressure on a 10-month relationship. He can still be a good dad. He can still contribute financially. And you can still keep seeing each other. He's just saying at 10 months in, he's not ready to make that jump because of pregnancy. And ask yourself this. If you didn't get pregnant, and again, this wasn't planned by either of you from what you've told me, would your expectation be that he marries you right now? Because he says we need to work more on us. Do you agree with that somewhat? Would be a good question. He wants to make sure that we have the best chance on forever us and only 6 years of relationship. I don't know what that means. But the idea that he wants to take some time and he wants to work on you as a relationship before he jumps in, I don't have a problem with that. And he's communicating clearly with you that. I was confused, but I left it at rest. I think you're confused because you're not getting the answer you want, but he's being quite clear if you ask me. He's saying, I don't want to get married because you're pregnant. I am willing to work on us because I do look at us as possibly being long-term, but at this point, we need more work. We need to see each other more often before I'm willing to put a ring on your finger. And the confusion part is just you going, well, I'm pregnant. You should just marry me. No. No, that's what you want. That's not what he has to do. And that's not what he's supposed to do necessarily. For a couple of days, and on Valentine's Day, he invites me to have dinner with him. We went out, and I again asked him, what are we going to do? He didn't answer, and the dinner became awkward, and I felt bad. We didn't talk while we were eating. We left. Okay, so your connection's lagging at this point, right? So there's something going on there when there's awkward moments like that. You're lacking connection. You're lacking communication. Someone's not saying what they really want to say, and one of you feels that. On his way to my apartment, he was trying to get close to me, but I was mad, and I was also feeling sick, like I was coming down with a bug. I was pushing him away. When I got home, went to my bed, he started bringing me water, vitamin C, cleaning my apartment, and touching my head, and I was shivering in the bed. Okay, well, that's nice. He's comforting you. He's taking care of you. I got mad, and I told him to leave my apartment. Okay, so why, if he came home, he took you out for Valentine's dinner, I understand that there might have been some awkward moments of silence. Again, at this stage in the relationship with what's going on, maybe there is going to be some awkward moments. The fact that he came home with you, bringing water, vitamin C, cleaned the apartment, touched your head, and then you got mad at him, this isn't going to invoke him into marriage anytime soon, and I'm not sure if it's going to invoke him into hanging out. Now, I understand that your mood can swing as you're pregnant. I understand that your mood can swing with the time of the month. And if you have a bug, as you said, or a sickness. That being said, if he's helping you out, why were you getting mad? Is it something else? I got mad and I told him to leave. I just feel like he does all this stuff, have me say, oh, he is so good to me, maybe I shouldn't pressure him, and eventually just let him do whatever he wants. Well, so the fact that he doesn't want to let me just get clear on this. The fact that he doesn't want to marry you at this point, but he's willing to be around, make an effort, that's not enough? He's got to go all in or nothing? I don't think that's fair at this point. When we start, and we would need to get deeper into this story in a live coaching session. When we started, he knew I wanted something serious, and now after him saying how he can't wait to marry me and all this stuff, now he doesn't think we are there yet. Well, he never said a time frame, correct? 10 months in, and because of pregnancy, now the pressure is on him, and like he said, he needs a little bit more time to think about it. It's one thing to be committed. It's one thing to talk about, yeah, I want to marry you. It's another thing to say, yeah, I'm pregnant. I want to get married now. I told him to go. I wanted to be alone, but he said, no, you are sick. I'm not leaving you alone. Well, good for him. He's taking care of you. He cares about you. And I kept saying, leave. He didn't want to. Now you're being stubborn. He didn't want to, but he also always does this when I tell him I want to break up. He never wants to go. So the idea that you use breaking up as a negotiation tactic is not good in any relationship, let alone when you're pregnant. Using that, oh, I just want to break up, that would push someone away from wanting to marry you. I'm just being honest, and this is why you send me your story, because I'm not biased, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I told him, you have to learn to respect me when I tell you in my house that I want to be alone. He continued saying, no. Fair enough. It is your house, and you do want respect. I said, okay, I called the police, not make a scene. We weren't screaming, fight or nothing, but I feel he always does this when I'm trying to break up with him. So he can manipulate me or control what I am doing since he is there. Okay, so from what you told me, I didn't catch anything manipulative, but I wasn't there. But you are right. You have a right to your home, to be alone, and to tell the person to leave. And if they don't leave and that gets to a point, I've told people before, yeah, the next step is the cops. The cops came, I told them nothing had happened, but I want him to know that he has to learn to respect my space. I need to be alone, and I'm asking you to go peacefully. Then he has to respect that. Fair enough. They talked to him and made him get his stuff and give me back my key. Fair enough again. He stayed with me on weekends when my kids aren't there. So after this happened, he still came to hang out. Okay, since Valentine's Day, I've texted him to let me know how I'm doing health related with the baby and doesn't reply at all. Well, The fact that you called the cops on him when he was trying to comfort you and when you were sick, that's going to leave a pretty bad taste in his mouth. Should he still be replying to your health-related facts about the baby? Absolutely. Absolutely. He just hasn't replied at anything but a blue heart to the video of my sonogram that he missed because he was sick. I know so he's basically saying he sees your post or your text and a blue heart, meaning I guess he cares. I know I have my share on this, but I don't know what to do. What do you want? Here's my thing. If you want him to be a part of this baby's life, okay, I think he's on board with that. I think he wants to do it at his pace. I think he wants to be there for you and possibly nurture a bigger relationship. He doesn't want you to tell him what he needs to do. And that's exactly what you did at your house. You said, you need to respect me. You're treating him like a child, right? And from what you told me, he was leading with good intentions, and then you pushed him away. Also demanding that now that you're pregnant, that he needs to step up and marry you, that's a little bit much at this point for him. So if you want to have a relationship with him, you need to back up a bit, start dating again, and start going out. And the baby part of this, he seems like he's going to be on board with it. Now, if he's not on board with being with you, he still needs to step up and be a parent, and that's when you get the legal, a lawyer or something like that involved if need be. He is now blocked since I have seen that he hasn't reached out in a week, not even asking if I'm okay or the baby. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous that he's not checking up. But was I due see if we are together, he is there for me and the baby. I don't know what you meant by that because of the way that was written. Gets me anything I need for the pregnancy, anything. I do see if we are together, he is there for me and the baby. Okay, so he gets me anything I need for the pregnancy, anything. If I break up with him, he disappears. Okay, so what do you want specifically? Get very, very clear on that. Because number one, you want a father to be there. That's his responsibility, to be there as a parent. His responsibility isn't to marry you because you are pregnant. His responsibility as a boyfriend is something that he should, if his morals and values are correct, work towards, because it's ideal for your kid to have two parents, right? You calling the police on him when he's comforting you in your home and you're sick is not going to help matters as far as his communication or his confidence in dealing with you as a long-term partner. Did you have a right to do that? Absolutely. If I break up with him, he disappears and doesn't reply to my message or anything at all. That's wrong. He has a responsibility to you and the baby. He had came around after a week of not taking out his own pace. I don't know what that means, but now I don't know. Really do love him, and I hope things get better, but I am so defensive of being with someone who might just be telling me what I want to hear. Okay, that's huge, what you just said there. You're filtering for anything you can find that you don't like, and you're throwing it in his face, and you're going to sabotage the relationship. You need to meet him halfway. You need to stop telling him what he has to be and who he has to be, and get into having dinner, having some conversations, dating again. But if you're a defensive of being with someone who might just be telling me what I want to hear, look at what's the word might. The word might means I don't fucking know. The word might means I think maybe it's this. So why are we thinking the maybe negative? Because probably in the past, because you said you had 2 kids and you were divorced, you're waiting for the other foot to drop and you're thinking, he's going to break up with me or he's not going to be with me because of your past relationship. And that's something you need to unpack separately, possibly in a live coaching session. Because you got to get clear on that to be clear on this relationship. Because what happens is you go in the Rolodex, you look back on your files of your life and you go, oh shit, this happened to me before. He's going to do it. And then you start looking for it and the guy's like, what are you accusing me of here? I'm scared of wasting my time and staying faithful to one person who hasn't committed to me. So yeah, you're basically playing not to lose, and you're looking for guarantees. And relationships don't have that. You need to be in the present moment. You need to have some good talks with him, and you need to step up at this point. If he hasn't called you for a week, go, hey, look, we need to get dinner and have a serious talk. We're having a baby. I want you involved in this, and I want to know where we are. But you can't make ultimatums or demands about what he needs to be or commitments, such as marriage. What you need to do is go, hey, I'd like you to be here with me through this, and I'd like us to work together as a couple. If he says he's not up for one of those things, that's fine. The one thing that he absolutely has no choice on is being financially committed to that child and also making an effort with that kid as a father. That's non-negotiable. His wanting to be your partner is something you both have to work towards. You can't just go, now that I have a baby, I'm the boss and you have to marry me. Or now that I have a baby, you have to respect me in my house or I'll call the cops, right? So those are the places where you're at. And you have to think, if I didn't get pregnant, would I be making these demands? Also, are you taking a past relationship and assuming that this is going to be the same thing, and therefore creating a lot of negativity? So I hope that helps you. Please visit rightmac.com if you have a breakup story you want to share, or if you'd like to book a live coaching session.